It's a snakes and movies kind of day. Memory wise, anyway. Welcome back to the Shield Network. I am your host, Bad News Harris, and this is episode 5 of Lore, the Casey Harris story, where I share a good memory and a bad memory of my childhood growing up in hopes to prepare myself to get ready to see a therapist. So let's get started. Bad memory. Once again, my bad memory actually doesn't have to do with my mother. This is my first encounter with a snake, actually. Because where we lived at the time, there were only 3 houses in the line of where our neighborhood was. And then behind there was a tree-ish area, and then behind that was a mobile home area where a friend of my brother's and mine happened to live. His name was Matt, I believe it was. Well, one day, my brother and I decided to go hang out with him over at his house. We're just chilling, I don't remember what the hell we were doing on the inside, because the only memory I have was when we walked outside. And so, we were about to go home. We walked outside of his house, and lo and behold, first things first, the perspective on this might be because I was like 7 to 8 years old, so size perspective might just be because of that. But when we exited the house, we noticed a rather large snake kind of in our way. And I don't know how big it was. I don't even remember what kind of snake it was. All I remember was Matt's dad grabbing a shovel to, fight it off. And my prominent memory of this situation was seeing Matt's dad with a shovel and then seeing the snake up hissing with its mouth wide open. And with that being the first time I had ever seen a snake, this was not exactly a fun experience for me. That being said, it was followed by one of the most badass moments I've ever seen in my life, because his dad took the shovel, chucked that motherfucker at the snake, and straight decapitated it with one throw. It was fucking phenomenal. Anyway, and then afterwards, Matt's dad proceeded to go grab the tail and then whipped it over onto their laundry line. And I never looked into this to whether or not it was true, but Matt's dad did it and looked at us and said, if you don't keep them separated, they can reconnect. I highly doubt that's true for snakes, because I don't think snakes can regenerate like that. But still, it freaked me the fuck out. And as cool as the situation was, don't get me wrong, I was scared for my life because I had never seen anything like that. But it was also so freaking cool. I don't know how to explain it. But on the opposite of that, though, is it instilled in me, I guess you could say, a fear of snakes. I guess there's really no other way to describe it, because I can't go anywhere near them. But the problem is that they fascinate me, just like spiders do. So I love researching them. Not researching them, but watching programs on them and learning things about them. So it's a bit of a not so love, but a little bit of hate relationship there that I wish I didn't have, because I would love to be able to interact with snakes like my friends do, because I have way too many friends that enjoy them, and I have way too many friends that own them. But that's neither here nor there. Point is that I was just like with the spiders soon, like not too long before that, it instilled the permanent phobia of them in me, so I was never able to, and have never been able to, and likely will never be able to enjoy them as much as I probably could have if I had been introduced to them in a different way. But that's how life goes. Sometimes the phobias strike before you get the chance to know. It happens. Good memory. Okay, the year was 1995. I had never been to a movie theater before. I don't know if my brother and sister had, but this isn't about those two because they weren't with us when we went. This is the memory of when my dad took me to see my very first theater movie. And no better choice could there have been than Power Rangers the movie. Like, mind you, this movie blew my freaking mind. I was 9 years old. It was so different than the TV show, and yet not different at all. I remember not actually enjoying the look of the Megazord because I knew it would likely look different on or in the show, which it absolutely did. Looked so much better in the show. But all in all, I mean, I was enthralled with this entire movie. From the first morph to seeing Ivan ooze for the first time to wondering what the hell they did and why they decided to downgrade Lord Zed like that, except for the fact that they had to water him down because he was too scary for kids. Not the point. But I remember wondering why they replaced Squat and Babu with that pig dude. And mind you, I've looked his name up plenty of times. I even own the movie, both digitally and physically, and I've chosen many a times not to look his character up because he doesn't matter. The movie's not canon outside of, what, Shattered Grid, and I don't even think Shattered Grid touches it. So, yeah, we're just gonna pass that ball right there. But still, I mean, seeing the new suits, this is the first time I'd ever seen a quote-unquote armor upgrade of the Rangers, because at this point, they hadn't even had the little glitter armor yet. So it was just so cool to see the upgrade. And then it was also around this time frame the Big Bad Beetleborgs was also out. So seeing this along with eventually seeing Big Bad Beetleborgs in armor, it made my childish artistic brain start to grind, if you know what I mean. Because as active as a kid as I was, I still loved to just sit down and draw. I mean, I've been drawing, according to my parents, since I was 4 years old. And I'm not gonna question that because I love to draw. I mean, but neither here nor there. It was so cool. And I didn't know that movie theaters existed outside of this, before this. And I had seen movie trailers before, but I just thought they were commercials for, longer TV shows on TV. Because I was still a pretty damn naive kid back then. But the movie itself was so much fun. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, being a 9-year-old, getting to see my first movie, and it being the one thing the one thing I focus my energy on outside of being a regular kid. And the fact that it was my dad that took me, I got to experience with him. And the fact that it never would have happened without him. Because, like I said in an earlier episode of L.O.R.E, my dad is the one who sat me down out of freaking nowhere to watch the first episode of Power Rangers when it premiered. I had no idea it was coming. I didn't know what the hell it was. I wasn't a TV watcher really before that. So, it gave me something to enjoy, something new to enjoy something to inspire me and just, I don't know. It's just something that that profoundly affected me as a kid. Obviously, as you can see, that it's just never gone away, and it never will. It kind of can't. 2 out of my 3 kids are named after Power Rangers, after all. So, but yeah. And again, I have him to thank for it. So, that's really all. I mean, this wasn't really a movie review. It was just me explaining that it was a good memory. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to it. We went to the theater. I had fun watching the movie. We went home. I mean, not really much I could really drag out from that. Just the fact that it was a fantastic day. I enjoyed seeing that movie, and I enjoyed spending time with my dad. I always enjoyed spending time with my dad. So, I miss you. 3, 2, 1. Final thought. For lack of better words, the smallest things can have the biggest impact, both literally and metaphorically. These smallest things having the biggest impact on me being my arachnophobia and my fear of snakes. That being, or no, wait, those were big impacts. Then the small impacts would be like my dad setting me down for Power Rangers and taking me to see my first movie, it being Power Rangers, things like that. Because when it comes to it all happening when growing up, it helps shape the kind of person you develop into, and that eventually helps you develop into the person you eventually become as an adult. And I'm not exaggerating when I said it inspired me so much that, I mean, I write about superheroes all the time. I mean, I draw derivative Power Ranger stuff all the time. It's just, it gave a secondary seed to root into my artistic ability, or into my artistic inspirations. And I will always enjoy that. Anyway, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Bad News Airs out.